Recent analysis from the DTU College of Humanization research team points to a growing structural flaw in how we measure human capital, the professional title. To understand why this system is failing, we have to look at why it was created. Ancient markets struggled with information asymmetry, an economic problem where buyers and employers had no reliable way to verify the expertise of the unknown labor they were hiring. Long before complex language or formal institutions, biological organisms solved this problem through physical displays. Primates use aggressive posturing and physical dominance to establish social hierarchies and allocate group resources. As human populations expanded into complex societies, these primitive physical cues could no longer scale. You could not physically test every merchant or builder entering a growing city. They had to be replaced by socio-cultural signals. Professional titles functioned as a high-efficiency engineering shortcut, allowing strangers to establish trust through a single, verifiable signal. The medieval guild system formalized this shortcut. Guilds operated as closed-loop regulatory bodies that controlled market entry, ensuring that anyone holding the title of master had passed a rigorous, standardized quality control process. As we moved into the industrial era, specialized mechanical and scientific knowledge became entirely invisible to the layperson. You couldn't tell if an engine was safe just by looking at it. You had to trust the title of the engineer who built it. This evolved into the modern credit cycle. In this sociological framework, an individual invests in formal education, converts that education into a credential from an elite institution, and then cashes in that credential for economic authority and a job title. But this historical proxy has reached its scaling limit. The title has degraded into a lagging indicator, a static label applied to a workforce that now requires continuous, dynamic adaptation. A system originally designed to clearly signal competence has broken the modern labor market. The human brain evolved specific, spatially distributed neural networks exclusively to process social status and rank. A key node is the inferior intraparietal sulcus, or IPS. Neuroscience shows the IPS is the exact region responsible for processing numerical magnitudes. Your brain literally calculates social hierarchy and job titles as a measurable mathematical distance between you and a coworker. The pursuit of a new title is driven by the mesolimbic dopamine pathway. Dopamine is not a pleasure chemical. It is a wanting chemical that drives anticipation and motivation, creating a hedonic hamster wheel as employees chase the next promotion. Once the title is achieved, the brain experiences a dopamine deficit. The neurochemical high fades, killing intrinsic motivation and forcing a perpetual pursuit of the next static label to restore the chemical balance. This hardware bug leads directly to the Dunning-Kruger effect. This is a cognitive bias where individuals with low ability overestimate their competence because they lack the self-awareness to recognize their own errors. In title-heavy environments, this becomes a double curse, as high rank shields incompetent managers from feedback. It also triggers the psychological phenomenon known as the halo effect. A prestigious title in one highly specific domain suddenly grants an individual unearned authority and social deference in entirely unrelated areas of business. Titles trick the brain's hardware into rewarding the acquisition of static labels instead of the dynamic act of continuous problem-solving. We see the macroeconomic damage of this system in degree inflation, using college credentials to sort candidates for middle-skill roles that historically never required them. Today, 67% of postings require a degree, yet only 16% of successful workers hold one. This divergence creates an artificial paper ceiling, excluding 70 million Americans, known as stars, skilled through alternative routes, locking them out despite verified skills. Firms enforcing this paper ceiling pay a heavy financial penalty. They face higher turnover and demand up to 30% higher compensation premiums to hire degreed workers without seeing matching gains in baseline productivity. Conversely, companies that shift to skills-based hiring report a 10% higher employee retention rate and a 20 to 25% increase in baseline productivity. Degree inflation creates a massive, quantifiable drag on both firm-level productivity and national economic output. The value-based identity system bypasses legacy credentials across three distinct pillars. Pillar 1, output-based identity, focusing on an immutable inventory of built works. Pillar 2, reasoning transparency, using decision journals to prove metacognitive awareness. Pillar 3, learning capacity, tracking continuous upskilling. We already have empirical data on this model. Titleless organizations utilizing holacratic management structures report a 30% average improvement in performance metrics, driven entirely by increased organizational agility. A dynamic, cryptographically verifiable portfolio provides an exponentially more accurate picture of an individual's value than a static noun. Eliminating titles outright carries extreme systemic risk. In highly regulated environments, standardization is the only safeguard against catastrophic failure. Healthcare provides the ultimate stress test for this theory. In a clinical setting, titles act as life safety markers, defining the boundaries of professional accountability. Look at the UK's integration of physician associates. When title ambiguity causes patients or staff to mistake a PA for a general practitioner, the resulting misdiagnoses lead directly to fatal outcomes. The title doctor serves as a necessary societal shorthand. It instantly communicates legal accountability and verified minimum competency in a high-stress environment. While titles are economically inefficient for general knowledge work, they remain strictly non-negotiable in fields where information asymmetry can cost lives. To transition the broader economy without crashing institutional trust, labor markets require a phased rollout of new digital infrastructure. Phase 1 is hybrid integration. State governments provide targeted tax credits to incentivize corporations to augment traditional resumes with verified skills assessments. Phase 2 introduces widespread data portability. Workers adopt W3C verifiable credentials and learning and employment records, storing their verified skills in universal digital wallets. Phase 3 is the endgame transition, AI-driven talent marketplaces. These networks match quantified human outputs directly to complex business problems, rendering the job title obsolete. But executing this requires leveraging the schema rule theory. Lasting economic change only happens when you actively alter societal perception, moving the cultural baseline from asking, "What is your title?" to asking, "What have you built?" The future of professional identity is a cryptographic ledger of creation. By adopting this architecture, we can tear down the paper ceiling and build a truly meritocratic global economy.